Welcome back, everyone, to An Ordinary Search for Truth. My name is Nate, and today I'm not really doing a topic video. This video's intent is to offer you even more resources to help you realize ultimate truth for yourself, absolute truth for yourself, to answer the biggest questions of life. Who am I? What is the universe? What is reality? All of these things. My purest intent in this channel is not to get a bunch of subscribers, a bunch of likes, to monetize. That's not why I do this. I do this because I'm very passionate about truth and the search of it. And I'm very passionate about what integrating absolute truth into your life can bring to you. And ultimately, an end of suffering. Being able to experience ultimate authenticity and peace and happiness in your life. That is what I'm all about. And I'm humble enough now to admit that I am not the best at describing a lot of these topics and concepts and ideas. I'm still very young, not only as a person, but also in my spiritual understanding. I recognize that there's a lot of blind spots within me and still a lot of ego activity and selfishness. I have not truly integrated the realizations that I have made, and I know that there are still many, many more realizations to come. So never will I say that I am enlightened or awakened or any of that. I'm still on this journey just as you are. So I will not claim to be any kind of ultimate source or authority on any of this stuff. I'm simply offering my unique perspective and my unique way of describing these things. In all honesty, I do this channel, create these outlines and videos as much for myself as I do for you, because it allows me a chance to deeply contemplate these topics maybe further than I would if I wasn't making this content. It has really helped my spiritual evolution. So even if nobody watched these, I would still be making them because it helps me out. But I do want to help you, so I'm going to give you some resources that have been guiding lights for me that could be guiding lights for you as well in your spiritual journey. So many of these I actually have featured on my channel as featured channels, so feel free to go and check those out. I'll name a few of my favorites that have really opened my mind and perspective on some of the deepest aspects of life. Namely, Leogura with actualized.org. Leo's videos, podcasts are extremely long, detailed, and well thought out. He has a way of using incredibly sharp intellect in breaking down very deep concepts and questions. So if you're the intellectual type, if you're the skeptic type, I would go check him out. He's got some amazing things to say, and the way that he says it really resonates with the intellectual side of things. It's definitely a time commitment. Like I say, his videos and podcasts are quite long, but it's because he does such a good job at breaking down these things. It takes some time to do. So he's not just glossing over or just generalizing these things. He's being very specific and detailed in his descriptions. Another channel I would recommend is Aaron Abke. He came from a Christian background, and he has expanded well beyond the Christian sphere, but he has a way of speaking to Christians that can open their minds to some of the concepts of non-duality, which I think is incredibly helpful. It was helpful for me because I too came from a Christian background. So a lot of what he says and the terms that he uses are very resonant with my background and maybe with yours as well. A channel that I leaned on very early in my spiritual development, so before I got into the super, super deep stuff, I watched a lot of Koi's Corner, which he is now labeled as Vishuddha Das. But he has a very unique way of describing these things as well. And he has grown a lot since when he first started his channel and where he is now. The way that he does his videos and the content that he shares has really evolved, and it matched up a lot with my personal evolution. So I'm very grateful for him making his content, and maybe you'll resonate with some of it as well. He definitely goes into the more kind of new age hippie feel of things, talking about crystals and chakras and astral projection and things like that as well. So very broad topics to explore. Another incredible channel that I just recently stumbled upon that has been beyond words mind-opening for me is Theories of Everything with Kurt Jaimungal. I probably pronounced that wrong, but he is primarily an interviewer who invites very renowned guests to interview. Famous and well-published scientists and philosophers and mathematicians and people from all spheres of academia who, like I say, are well published. Most of them have books. He invites them on and engages in a very dynamic, open, and deep investigation into their worldview, where he seems to be genuinely trying to understand how they see the world in every aspect. And his entire channel is centered around searching for what's called a toe, or a theory of everything. He's trying to develop this for himself, and he seems to believe that the more perspectives that he analyzes and tries to understand of other people who have their own theory of everything, that by interviewing them and trying to understand where they're coming from, he can more accurately and deeply develop his own toe. These videos as well are on the longer side, anywhere between 2 and 6 hours long. He also has a podcast that you can find wherever podcasts are found. But if you are serious about spiritual enlightenment or spiritual truth, I highly recommend this channel. He does an absolutely fantastic job of interviewing these people. He's very well read and prepared for these interviews, and very often he is complimented by the people that he's interviewing on just how well he does interviews and how thorough he is. So I could go on and on about that channel. Definitely check it out, Theories of Everything. A few others that I have looked to for spiritual guidance who are also authors. I have several of their books, each of them. I'll start with Rupert Spira. Rupert Spira, you might even recognize the name. He has a channel on YouTube. He does a lot of videos and what might be called satsangs with large groups of people, where people ask him questions and he answers them, but he has a very simple and direct way of talking about consciousness and awareness in a non-dual understanding that I haven't really found anywhere else. Anyone that explains it quite as well as he does. He speaks not just to the intellect, but also to the heart. And in the merging of the two, he is able to open up this very practical, matter-of-fact space within you that allows for deep insights into the nature of consciousness. So I highly recommend Rupert Spira. Read his books, watch his videos, give him a listen, and see if his words resonate with you as they have with me. Another one who's very similar to Rupert Spira in the way that he is able to simply and clearly explain things is Adi Ashanti. He has written many books that I've featured on my channel before, and also has videos online, so definitely give him a listen as well. He's absolutely in the same caliber as Rupert Spira, so I've learned a lot from him. Another that I would recommend is Muji. He is perhaps not as intellectual as some of these others, but he definitely plays more to the simple and the intuition and the heart. So he has videos online. He does a lot of satsangs and spiritual retreats with spiritual communities. So those are always very interesting to listen to. A lot of the questions that are presented to him by the people there are questions that I've had. And he has a very light-hearted, kind of tongue-in-cheek way of talking about these things, and he's always inviting you to look at your direct experience for confirmation, which I love. So those are just a few of the sources that have aided in my spiritual evolution and have created paradigm shifts in my life that have helped me get to where I am now and who I am now. So all of them, highly recommend, 5 stars, 2 thumbs up. And then as kind of a side note, before I conclude this video, I've already talked longer than I planned to, I would highly recommend exploring certain philosophies and spiritual spheres. I will list them off, but this is not a comprehensive list. There's many more outside of this. These are just some of the most influential in my progression that I have found resonate most deeply with me. So I'll list those off now. Taoism, Advaita Vedanta, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sufism, Non-duality, Mysticism in general, but I've found some very interesting insights specifically in mystics within the Abrahamic religions, so Islamic mystics, Jewish mystics, and Christian mystics, who have arrived at a very similar understanding as these others, but from their own particular point of view, their own religion. I think that absolute truth can be found by an infinite amount of routes through all sorts of different paths. You can find absolute truth no matter your religious identification, whether you're Christian or Jewish or Buddhist or Hindu, any of these. You can get to the truth through these. Now, in the Abrahamic religions, I recommend going through the mystics, because typically the mystics were those who broke out of the confines or the limiting beliefs within their religion to really push the question and really try to find out what the nature of God is, beyond beliefs, beyond religious texts. So I highly recommend that avenue if you are a serious seeker of truth. And then there's various more secular philosophies that I would look into as well. Philosophy in general, I highly recommend. And I would specifically look at a few particular perspectives: Panpsychism, Solipsism, Stoicism, You can look deeply into science as well, particularly cutting edge science in regards to quantum physics, string theory, and all of those. I'm not particularly a scientist myself. I haven't delved incredibly deeply into those, but I've dabbled. And what I've found about a lot of cutting edge science is that it's actually confirming a lot of very deep truths about the universe that are being claimed by a lot of spiritual spheres as well. So it's kind of cool to see science and spirituality starting to speak the same language and acknowledge one another. So you can get there that way as well. Anyway, so there's a few avenues that you can use to further your spiritual development, your spiritual growth. Definitely plow into what resonates with you. Really dive deeply into what invigorates you, what you're passionate about, what calls to you, what seems most interesting, and dive very deeply into it, as deep as you can go, and see what you find. And then once you come out of that rabbit hole, find the next one and go down that one. And what you might start to realize is that all these different rabbit holes kind of lead to a similar place. And that place is an amazing thing to rediscover over and over again through all of these various means of travel. So, with that, I will leave you with my best wishes and hopes that you can deeply investigate yourself and the nature of reality, and that at the end of your spiritual path, you might find absolute truth, and that you might find peace and happiness and all of the things that come along with knowing the absolute truth. So, best wishes to you on your journey. Keep at it. Don't get too discouraged. It's definitely can be a difficult path sometimes, but hang in there. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I love you and all of the support that I've received from you. Thank you for watching my videos, and if you like what I'm doing here and you want to continue seeing more, hit a like down below and definitely subscribe so that you can be notified when future videos are released. I have some amazing content coming up, so stay tuned for that. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next one. Don't worry, I've got a lot more content for you to enjoy. Click the link to the right to see a video that goes hand in hand with what you just watched. On the left is a playlist I recommend you check out. And down below you can see my latest video release. Your support means the world to me, so thank you.